welcome back to the Film Alchemist Podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magic. Halloween magic, October magic, the darkest, most delicious kind of magic. We're just plowing through our 31 days, 31 pods October Mega Marathon. We're glad that you are returning to join us again today. We're also glad to be rejoined by our dear friend and co-host who's helping us get through this Phantasm franchise, Carmelita Valdez McCoy.
Hello. I'm loving every second of it.
Thank you.
So
Welcome
happy to be
back.
back.
Yeah, tell the people where they can find you online.
Sure. Folks can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd. Same handle for both, at Carmelita Says. And I, from time to time, can be found in the Patreon Discord, because I am also a Patreon patron. Because Film Alchemist, it's like more. Give me more Film Alchemist. Always.
Yes. Our patrons think that, our wives do not. That is the distinction, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, guys, if you want every episode this month, if you want to chat with Carmelita on our Patreon exclusive community over there on Discord, go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. It's the only way to get every 31 episodes this month. We have a big library over there. Our patrons actually voted on our Patreon exclusive episodes this month. So lots of fun stuff over there. We work really hard to make that fun for you guys. So if you can or you're able, hook us up, man. Hook us up. We're giving you a podcast every day this month. Hook us up. All right. Enough of that business. Let's get into some Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead.
Yes, please.
This is how to describe Phantasm 3. This is where lore runs amok. That's what I would call this entry. And honestly, I love that. I'm a huge adding lore to the headcanon person. We did this last episode. We thought it'd be funny again. Let's run through some IMDb trivia just at the start, just to get us in the mood for Phantasm 3. In this sequel, for the first and only time in the series, the main characters refer to the dwarves as lurkers and the spheres as sentinels. I actually thought the undead zombies were lurkers because we never see the dwarves lurking, so that's good to know. This one cracked me up. There's an alternate ending to the film. It was filmed but not used. Reggie and Tim travel to the wild regions of Alaska. Reggie digs a small hole in the ice, and Tim places a little case containing the tall man's gold sphere inside. Subsequently, Reggie puts a metal plaque over the hole and seals it up. The plaque reads, "Here lies the tall man, R.I.P." Reggie then says, "Now all we have to worry about is global warming." And they walk off.
What?
I know the Phantasm franchise doesn't always have great endings. That's not it.
Is that real?
I mean, IMDb Trivia is an ironclad agreement with the users that they can't put lies. But it's in there. It's in there. All right, here we go. Wow. Universal changed the title for Phantasm 3 to Phantasm Lord of the Dead for a theatrical test release, feeling that the general public had forgotten the name Phantasm and therefore would avoid seeing the film if it were obviously part of a continuing series. That hurts.
It had been a while.
That said, when did this one come out again?
94?
So yeah, we got another 6-year window. They needed to start churning these out a little faster if they were going to go franchise mode, perhaps. All right, after the mild box office results of Phantasm 2, which earned approximately $8 million against a $3 million budget, that's not terrible. Universal chose to not personally pursue a sequel, but did offer to distribute it. Don Coscarelli and Associates make it themselves, if they would have made it themselves. With no casting restrictions this time, Coscarelli offered the role of Mike to his original performer, who returned to the role after almost 16 years. At around 9 minutes, Michael Baldwin's wife, Jennifer Bross, has a cameo appearance near the beginning as a nurse behind a desk who greets Reggie while listening to a Walkman. Take those as you will. This is just to give us the flavor. So, it does set a context, though. Phantasm 2 waited 9 years to make a sequel. Did not blow up at the box office, right? It made $5 million. That's good.
Yeah.
So they said, we're not interested in doing another studio Phantasm. But if you make it, we'll distribute it. Phantasm 3 has a real, I want to make a Phantasm movie my way again. You can see Coscarelli really planting he brought back Mike and Jodie's original actors. You can definitely see them going back in and saying, we want to clarify all of the mythology of this film. Because this is the film where the mythology runs amok. Like, we start to see a lot of stuff. Again, never really answering anything.
No.
But at least getting us closer, right? Because I don't think we want exact answers, right?
I don't want exact answers.
No, it's like Hellraiser. We don't know exact answers. Oh, we forgot to do that last time. Better sequel, Phantasm 2 or Hellraiser 2? Hellraiser 2 by like miles and miles and miles. Neither here nor there. But yeah, I think this is where you take it and tonally you make it what you want. This movie, again, is doubling down on the goofy and funny elements of this movie with our new kind of D&D team we're running with.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's kind of got... It's a bigger version, again, than part one. But this time it feels a little more for the fans. Yeah, right? This one is really getting in, and like, if you're with us on the third movie, we didn't think enough people were making it to part 3. We're going to really pay off that loyalty. So I fucking honestly love Phantasm 3. I was telling you could make the case in my head that this is my favorite Phantasm movie because of how fucking batshit weird it is. But I would like your opening thoughts on Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead.
So, I had never seen this. First time watch.
I love when that happens.
And I gotta tell you, so far, if I'm ranking the franchise as we're going, for me, it's 1, 3, and then 2.
Yeah. It would be... I don't know that I can make a compelling case by the end of this that this is better than part 1. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
And I'm looking forward to hearing it.
It's going to be tough, but all right, I'm in. I'm taking the case. Let's go.
Yeah. But this movie is so much fun. Yes. And it's so much better than it has any business being.
Yes, that's a great way to phrase it. It's got that like made for sci-fi channel, like that era of movies we got. Because they're really heavy now into the science fiction.
Yes.
We're getting this weird squad together. It just kind of works. Like, just right from the opening, right? We're going to replay the movie again. We have to see Reggie and Mike again at that fucking Hallmark fireplace. I love when we see the melted dead body, right? The eyes squirt. The tall man's corpse falls in front of the portal. A new tall man comes out, grabs the body, chucks it into the portal, and we're back in. We don't fucking explain what that is. What is the fucking tall man? We know that he can switch between genders. He can choose to fuck. He's insanely strong. He has telekinesis. He controls these orbs. He sends these bodies back for slavery. So something I love about franchises like this, add some new element for me to contemplate during the movie. Yes. I've already seen the Phantasm shit. Give me something extra to think about. So now I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, if the tall man is just a fucking facade, like one of those alien suits from Men in Black, how does he switch betwixt the man and woman body? And does he even feel the dick when he's a woman riding a man in the cemetery? Right? So now I've got stuff to play with in my head.
Yeah.
As we're moving through, and I fucking love that.
But in the best way.
In the best way.
In the best way possible.
The best way.
Yeah, I love that when we get this recap, but now we're recontextualizing with more information. Mm-hmm. This is what you didn't see.
Right, and we get
this
is
journey how it goes forward from here.
Yes, he does not. He thinks flesh is imperfect and binding. Okay. So then why is he banging people? Why is he banging people? I agree too. Why are any of us banging people then? You know what I mean? Like, is this like some experiment he's doing? Like, why are they fighting me? I don't get it. But that's the thing. Yeah. If he's just a sphere wrapped in like an android suit, really, why is he banging? Right? Like, this one goes almost... It toes that line of almost a little too science fiction for me by the end. Right? Where we're kind of taking out the magical elements of the tall man that make him really scary, right? Because he plays almost as a fantasy monster who's doing work for a scientific, like, villainous society, right? In this one, by the end, when we're turning him into just another kind of robot husk thing, I don't know where I settle on that. We'll debate it throughout the show. Because I think, again, you look at him, because there's a scene when Mike, they're doing the thing at the start again, right? Where it's like, I have to find Mike. Mike's in a hospital bed. And when Mike wakes up, there's
and
a
Reggie's
moment,
not dead. At the end of the
Reggie's
last one,
oh, yeah. I'll make
Mike
this point
thinks
and we'll
that Reggie's
circle
dead.
back, because that scene is fucking rad. But
Yeah.
actually, let's just do it now, because this is an important stepping block, right? So Reggie gets out of the car fucking blows up, and somehow they're there. The tall man and the minions, the lurkers, are ripping Liz's head off. So Liz has been fucking decapitated, and they're playing with her head.
She's not coming back.
Right, she's gone. She was not invited back for the sequel once the studio money was gone. So Reggie's trying to save Mike, and Mike's fighting. He has that awesome, the 4-barreled shotgun, which we didn't talk about in part 2, that he never fucking fired. This one, they're like, oh, he didn't fire Chekhov's quadruple barrel gun. We'll do it right at the start of this movie. He shoots up into the trees and all the lurkers fall. Awesome shot.
Yeah.
The tall man's there. He's ready to fight. He pulls a pin on a grenade. And the tall man says, I don't want him in pieces. Take good care of him. What the fuck? Like, again, this is an incredible decision in the storytelling of this franchise. Because what the fuck does the tall man want with Mike?
Yeah.
Why is he willing to rip Liz's head off, who is another psychically connected kid? But he wants Mike in one piece. And then we flash to that hospital scene. The eye drone, the eye sentinel, right, pops out, and he sees Mike. We later see that the tall man's watching that, like a video feed.
Yeah.
When Mike wakes up, he has half a smile come across his face. Like he's excited Mike is awake. So who the fuck is Mike to this guy? And why is all of this happening because of this connection? That's another fun thing that it just deepens the motivational questions of these characters. Because I think as an actor, you want motivations more. As an audience, I don't think we give a fuck about motivations. Honestly. Like, Darth Vader was perfectly fine in A New Hope when we all saw him, and we didn't know his entire fucking huge tragic backstory. He was still the coolest fucking thing we'd ever seen. Right? Hannibal Lecter in the first Silence of the Lambs. He was still pretty mysterious to us. That's fine. We don't give a fuck about motivations. We care about actions of characters. Right? Whatever they do, then we can go back and work through whether we think the motivations for that were there or not. We care about what the characters do. And seeing the tall man leave Mike and Reggie and then smile when he wakes up in that bed, those actions let our mind run amok on this fucking movie monster in a way that a lot of the others don't get to do.
Yeah, I love that.
I love it.
Because I get what I'm with you that definitely I think most viewers, the average viewer, we want to know what are they doing? What is a character?
Right.
What are their actions? It is fun though when you get a really interesting motivation that gets hinted at or played with. I love that stuff. So
we do this.
That's definitely a play here.
Yeah, the best villains think they're the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, does the tall man think he's the good guy? Doesn't fucking feel like it.
No, it doesn't.
Right? Or does he look at us as so nothing that he's just doing his job? But then they're like, his species creates these armies, and they're no longer just creating workers for the planet with super heavy gravity and heat. Now these lurkers are not slaves; they're soldiers, soldier slaves.
Yes.
Right? So they can go conquer all these other dimensions. Well, that seems like a pretty childish thing to still imagine you're good. Unless you're sitting there and you're saying, these poor fucking dumb humans, look at how they run this world. He came to this world, he was, experiencing our sexuality, experiencing our culture, watching us mourn, watching how we react to loss, right? Watching how we care about things. And maybe somewhere in that, in the first movie when he says, Mike, you played a good game, maybe there's something about Mike, well, he doesn't think we're worth saving and we're beneath him. That's why he's just crushing these Oregon towns left and right.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks Mike is worth saving. You know what I mean?
I like that.
So whether he's a good guy or not, he's at least conflicted with his, we're going to destroy and crush all dimensions. Again, his speed with which he's working is picking up from the first film.
Yes.
But why Mike? Right? It's an interesting question that Link, and the movie
It
asks it
is.
5 times and we don't get any answers.
It does. No. And later on, not to jump too far ahead, but at one point when he's talking about it, it's almost like he's talking as if Mike is what he's trying to do is return Mike to
Mike
his
was one of
previous
them.
state.
Yeah.
But
I thought that too. Because Mike
he's
even
an un-
says, he's like, I want to know why when the Jody ball's
Yeah.
like being his VR headset. And the movie never says why. The tall man is
doesn't.
just infatuated with him and wants to return him, right? He says
Right.
again, he's like, you know, this flesh that's stuck to time and space. And he's like, I'm going to return you, and then all things unknown will be known to you again.
yeah.
Sounds great. We never fucking get to hear any of that.
No.
Which is fine with me. It's fucking fine. Because knowing that the tall man has some reason to care about, because let's say, is this like a Promethean thing where they planted these seeds and so he might be the descendant of, like, we don't fucking know. To me,
Who
it
knows?
plays as he really has an extra level. Because there's that scene when Mike is in the box, right? When they do the other, like, travel through the dream, right? Where Orb Jody, that's something we'll talk about greater stretches here. But the tall man has Mike in a box in the mausoleum. And he's like, let me out. And he's like, use your mind. That'll let you. It's almost as if he's putting him through a test to like train him
Yeah.
to like rediscover some power or find something he doesn't know he had. So is he just like an exceptional specimen? Is he going to be an evolutionary step that they've targeted? Like, we don't know. We just know that somehow now he's important. And he's not just a person that he's going to hunt down and kill like he's a movie slasher.
Right.
Which adds
Right.
interest.
It does.
Right.
And I mean, that's the thing about a successful sequel, right? Do you have more to say? Can you show us more?
Right.
And the Phantasm franchise is showing us that they can.
It keeps finding a lot more. Like, this is the big one in this
Yeah.
one, right? Is now we have the orbs are the leftover brain of the lurkers.
Oh, that is so cool.
And so the lurkers, yeah, he says that the lurkers' bodies, instead of being smashed, they used to say it was smashed in the first one, right? So they'd keep their body mass and weight, but be shorter. Why, I don't know. The gravity, right? Now they described it in this one as that the body of the lurkers are vestigial leftover
Yeah.
of the like cerebral cortex. So essentially their bodies are pure brain matter. But then their brains actually shrink, so they're made out of brain matter, but their brain goes in an orb
Yeah.
that then also works for this empire. These little machines the orbs are essentially little like spaceships that fly around and do missions. So it's really kind of just like a wildly interesting series of things they lay out. I don't know that any of
Yeah.
it makes sense, and it's starting to get to that point where it feels like it's in defiance. Although that's the thing, the tall man never said that. That was Reggie and Jody's assumptions of what were happening.
Sure.
Right? That they were building this slave army because of the heat and the gravity. Jody and Reggie tell us that, not the tall man. So maybe it's not
Yes.
combating what they had told us. But I just, walking through all that was fucking fascinating. I was like, fuck yeah, after 3 movies, right? Now we're like, it's 5.5 hours in. Hell yeah, show me some of this.
Yeah.
And that's like, I love the fact that Jody's ghost is being projected from, he's an orb that's fighting back against it because his brother and Reggie are on the line. It has an
Yeah.
eyeball orb. So we see new orbs, right? We see the giant golden one at the end. But it's just, yeah, they still find new shit to do, right? We add this gang of banditos, right? Because now there are all these, everywhere he goes, there are these towns that, as if citizens just think these are like irradiated places, like, don't go there.
Yeah.
They don't know
everyone
what's
talks
happening. They
about
just know
it was
small
a
towns are
plague, it
disappearing.
was radiation or toxic waste or
Yeah.
no, it's the tall man.
Yeah, they don't know what it is. They're just like, don't go there. Reggie goes there. He gets fucking snapped up by these bandits that are just, now there's a new cottage industry, which is running through these desolate towns
Yes.
and stealing all their shit. And so
And these
now we
bandits
get these bandits.
are
Let's talk about
comical.
these fucking comical
They're
bandits.
comical.
Fucking goofballs, every one of them.
Are they supposed to be from the East Coast? Like that one guy.
The one
The
guy's
shorter
like
one with the
very,
mustache?
very Jersey, right? The
Looks
two of
very
them have an
Atlantic
almost
City.
like Jersey midnight cowboy thing going,
Yeah.
right? Like they never made it to the big city.
And
But
the
yeah.
consistency of Reggie is that he sees the woman of this group first.
Well,
And
let's
he's
just-
so busy looking at watching her bend over. It never occurred to him that this might be a trap.
Fucking Reggie. The only shocking thing is this moment is that he doesn't introduce himself by slapping her ass.
Yes. That's the only
She
thing.
is also wearing essentially like yoga pants with 3 like interconnected gold rings and a sports bra, which to me is not the best outfit for moving all of this stolen merchandise.
It's very In Living Color, the Fly Girls.
Yes,
outfit.
it's very. There you go. See, we're the same age, so we know these things. But it's very Fly Girls, right? As if she's still there to lure anyone who might be coming to
Right.
snoop around. And then yeah, Reggie gets fucking accosted and jumped on. But it's again, you're telling us now that there are these huge chunks of the world where now they don't exist anymore. How is our society reacting to this stuff? We didn't get there yet. But they're setting us up for all. I like sitting and pondering these things, especially like right after the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have a movie, 3 beers at a bar, and like you talk out like all these weird extra things that have extrapolated out.
Yeah.
And I think this does that really well in this series, right? I love those extra questions, right? And so yeah, these bandits essentially are how we are introduced to. Is it Tim?
Tim, yes.
Tim,
Our Home Alone kid.
This, so it's so fucking weird because he's got the little graves, he's got little clown heads everywhere. The funniest fucking one, he does the Home Alone trap where it's like, now you're in trouble, but
Yep.
instead of the cans of paint, it's a board with blades through it, dressed like a clown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird as fuck, but the imagery is awesome, which is kind of where
Yes.
Phantasm always does its best work.
I
Yeah,
agree.
he's just-
yeah,
he's
it's
just a little,
it's,
like, murder
It's very
machine.
bizarre.
Yeah, he tomahawks this lady in the face. The funniest, most memorable Tim moment is like, don't make me throw this, and it's a razor frisbee. And the guy's like, oh yeah, like I'm scared, and he goes, and it somehow boomerangs back and cuts his throat to where he dies.
Yeah, no, very effective.
Awesome. Then he catches a guy in a pit, another throwback to Phantasm, shoots him, and now him and Reggie are on the fast track to being best friends.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
In a face-off,
Yeah.
Tim from Phantasm 3 and John Wick, who's coming out alive?
John Wick, just because of experience, but give him like another 20 years of fighting these zombie-like creatures, it'll probably be fucking close.
Tim is a great shot. His marksmanship
His
is
marksmanship-
on point.
John Wick is kind of fallen on like this. It's the thing they keep doing that is just so fucking annoying to me, where bullets don't hurt them anymore
Right.
because their clothes are like their suits are bullet repellent.
Sure.
Like they can get hit by cars and they're just. I just think bullets should hurt if you get hit by them. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though he's a great shot, can he shoot through a suit, an Armani suit? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm
But
just
again,
saying,
you know where the suit
Tim is
doesn't
highly
protect?
skilled for like what, a 10-year-old?
The suit won't protect the neck where Tim's fucking
Yes.
razor frisbees. And by then he'll
Yes.
probably have those like frisbee golf ones that you can throw really far.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Tim would probably wax John Wick. He just needs time to like get his full man body.
Mature. Yeah. His the man body.
Yeah. And John
But no,
Wick's
Tim
just
is a
fighting
killing
like
machine.
lowly gangsters. He's fighting intergalactic monsters.
Yeah.
So yeah,
This is something to think about.
I'll probably go Tim. But this starts a
Tim?
thing that I love
It's
in
hardcore.
movies. Yeah, Tim Wick. I fucking love in movies where we get a team, right? It reminds me of like Beastmaster and other movies of that ilk
Yes.
of my childhood. Willow with Mad
And
Mardigan.
Coscarelli did Beastmaster.
Yes, he did. So he knows how to assemble a great team. I
Mhm.
totally forgot though. Tim's backstory is fucking metal in this movie.
Yeah.
How scary is that fucking scene? They're watching his dad get put in the ground. The tall man fucking levitates him up, right? There's 2 moments in that are really scary. Is one that his mom just disappears in the casket, right? He sneaks in the back.
Yeah.
When they open that up and the dad's zombie body is laughing and the mom's slack face is there with a fucking obviously broken and mangled neck. That is one of the scariest scenes in the Phantasm franchise. Like, that is a
Gnarly.
fucking hardcore image. And then he does the comical jumping through the back of the car, which they love to do in Phantasm.
Yeah.
They love the leaping out of the back of glass cars and windows.
They
but
do.
honestly, I was like, I'm fucking digging this movie, what it's setting up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the introduction of Rocky is a little bumpier. I was going to say Rocky, but
Okay.
that's a double thing.
The introduction, yes. But Rocky ends up being one of my favorite characters.
Oh, dude, by the time she pulls the nunchucks out, I just said,
Right.
this is such a thing from my childhood where
I'm
like
here.
just random martial arts shit would appear in non-martial arts movies. And I
Yeah.
immediately went, yep.
That's
When
amazing.
she pulls the nunchuck out, because her partner gets caught and is sphered, right? Blood
Yes.
everywhere.
Well, okay. Well,
Reggie
wait, hold on a
tried to
second.
drop. Yeah, go ahead.
Reggie is in a mausoleum, and all of a sudden, these two women
Yes.
dressed in fatigues.
Full army attire, yeah. But like wife beater tank tops, whatever those
Right.
are, I guess they're just tank tops now. You don't say
They
that
look
anymore.
like they could have been in Street Fighter or
Yes.
Mortal Kombat or something. And
It's a
they're
weird-
all of us.
They also
all of a
don't
sudden
say
this
what their
mausoleum?
business was that they were doing there.
No.
I don't think they
So that's-
ever like
it's
fully
weird.
reveal what their job was, because then her friend gets murdered in the face.
Yes. Yes.
And then her nunchucks get snapped in half. It's fucking crazy. Tim saves him after he tried to drop him off at the orphanage. There are spontaneous orphanages now because the entire towns are dying.
Reggie just found a house that had kids playing out front.
Yeah, and he's like, this'll do. Somehow he
This
still
is-
has.
I'll
How does he
just
have all
drop
this
this
fucking
kid.
cash?
I don't know.
He drops
like-
thousands on this lady.
Just because there's kids playing out front doesn't mean that these
Yeah.
kids are being treated well.
Well, also, I would imagine someone like pulling up to my house and they're like, hey, I have this boy. His parents got brutally murdered. He just killed 3 people in front of me. Do you want him?
Right.
No. You don't have enough money in that fucking Himikuda. Get the fuck out of here.
It's
There's
bizarre.
no fucking chance that I would do that. But then that's the thing. You don't want to give him away because he runs in and is like, pew, 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 pew.
Yes.
He's a fucking crack shot.
Tim's
is
a smart kid.
He's a bona fide
And-
bad motherfucker.
He is. Yeah.
So he's ready. It's probably my favorite thing of the movie. I love the assembling the team.
It's great.
Of course, we have to start this journey with Reggie just being such a douche. The Reggie, hey,
Oh my
kid,
God.
can you sleep in the car when it's freezing cold so I can bang Rocky? And then she's trying to sleep, and he's just like, hey, come on, and like rubbing his old man dick on her back
Ugh.
to where finally she's just like, okay, and then has to trick him to handcuffs.
I
I
love
think
how
that
she
scene
turns
is
the
supposed to
tables on
play
him.
funnier. But now it's just like, fucking not Reggie. Come on, Reggie.
I was very uncomfortable.
yeah, no shit.
I was very uncomfortable because, okay, yes, Reggie, you're going to try. And if he was like verbally just making a pass at her and laying in the bed, and that's where, okay.
If he
When
had
he starts-
somehow found champagne and chocolates, okay.
When he starts putting hands on her
Yeah, he's like
and
pressing her.
cajoling, then I'm like, okay, Reggie, that's
That's
not
a bad
cool.
look. That's a bad look.
It's bad luck. But I love how Rocky is like, this
Yeah.
asshole. And
Right.
decides to like, okay, he clearly doesn't get the hint.
Right.
He's not going to honor
Yeah.
consent here. So I'm going to incapacitate him by
It's actually a point we have
Handcuffing
to.
him.
I have to bring this up with you, and we can expand on. The
Yeah.
movie does Reggie's trying to assault this woman. At bare minimum, he's an unwanted sexual advance, physically touching her.
yes.
The scene when later Ghost Jody needs Reggie's help to enter dreams that are real, and I mean, this movie does things that are. It gets a little too sci-fi at times. We go into Reggie's dreams
Yes.
where we see him just banging Rocky and her
Yeah.
loving it.
right.
And I know it's
That's how you know
his-
it's a dream.
it's his sexual fantasy, but it felt strange to be in the movie after we just saw her have to defend herself from him, to then be in his head watching them bang. And while Jodie's like, hey, there's important stuff, he's like, hey, I don't want to disappoint the ladies. I was like, ugh, like we're watching the crime he didn't get to commit earlier. Like, why is this in the movie? I know tits in horror movies.
We're doubling down. We're doubling down on weird Reggie sex scenes.
Yes. I just finished a book, right? It's the sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw, which I love that fucking book. You would love that book.
I haven't read it.
Get an audiobook of it. It's just essentially just like a massive slasher movie fan living a slasher and just talking you through like all these theories and ideas about slasher movies.
Oh, nice.
But in the sequel, Don't Fear the Reaper, one of the characters talks about why tits are so important in horror movies. And they say because the moment you start doing kills and this and that and VFX, there's a natural disbelief that happens in the audience mind, right? Like when we see the Frisbee kill that guy, that's not a thing that we accept as real in any way. We watch it and it's fun. And so they say a lot of horror movies have these things that we don't accept the sphere shooting blood out, right? Whatever. But tits cannot be faked. Nudity on screen.
It grounds you.
It shows you a level of believability. It's still taboo, but it's a real thing. The actor or actress had to be brave enough to put that out. It was an actually really interesting thought in the very end of that book.
Tits are tangible.
Because I was like, I'm with you that tits are tangible and I like it, but it's when it's in a rapey fantasy.
Gross.
The tits are not serving that purpose anymore. They're just making me go, no, not Reggie. And we've all had sexual fantasies about having sex with people. I get it. Sure. I'm just saying, as a bookend to her having to handcuff him, maybe not the image I needed.
Right. We know that this would never happen.
Yes. Like you said, had he just made verbal passes and it was just kind of like innocent enough, and then this happened, annoying, but not actually grotesque,
right?
Then you could probably get away with this fantasy scene. It's just really weird after he's fucking rubbing. Come on, baby, come on. And it's like, I thought it was such a weird thing that the movie did not need.
You're not wrong. I think
I know Coscarelli's like, he's a tits and movie man. I get it.
Sure. And who could blame him?
And I'm not saying I want tits out of my movies. I like tits and banging in my movies.
No, you and I talked about this.
Yes.
When we did the Halloween franchise.
Right.
And the sad like tragedy tits where you're like, I don't want to see this character's tits while she's getting murdered and we love her and we've seen her grow up.
Right. That's exactly. These are not fun tits. These are not fun tits.
No, these are not fun tits. No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to see someone crawling out of a burning house. They were unable to save their kids. Their whole life is ruined. Hey, but her fucking sports jacket got burned off and her tits are hanging out.
Right.
That doesn't do it for me. That's not a thing that I'm into, right? And that's how these tits are. Walk me through your thoughts on Ghost Jodie in this movie. I kind of like the idea of the burnt, blackened orb.
That was cool.
What did you make of this in the movie?
So when Jodie first appears, and I love how this film and this franchise really keeps building on this idea of the dreams, and now we're talking about the consciousness, the psyche, consciousness living outside of a body. It's like we keep building on these ideas and just kind of expanding what's included in the mythology. And so when we first see Jodie, you're like, okay, well, Mike's clearly having a dream that Jodie is back. And then Jodie actually, like dead Jodie's consciousness lives in a sphere. That's pretty cool.
That can fight back on its own away from its controller.
Yeah. Like it's a really interesting concept.
It is. Again, if there's a flaw with this movie is that they add a lot more sci-fi than the last and don't always
this is very sci-fi
explain or utilize it. Like I would love to have known how he escaped, the only thing I came up with, right? How is he escaping and how is he still like trying to foil the tall man?
The tall man.
One is we see he poses no threat to the tall man for even a half a second in the movie.
No.
There's no threat. Tall man just goes and he's done. He somehow has an ability that lets him be not worried at all about the spheres. there was a part of me that wondered if the tall man gave that sphere to them as a gift. That he allowed Jody to go back to try to soften Mike or to try to help push Mike in some direction that he needed him in this like metamorphosis process. Whatever the fuck it is he's talking about. Because the movie
I
never
think you're
fucking
onto
describes
something
it.
here. You're onto something here because Jody is like leading them.
Right. And they just assume it's Jody too.
Right.
He's just a projection from an orb. He could be anyone.
No, that's cool. I like that.
So I wonder if this is part of the tall man's ruse. The
tall man in previous films has talked about the game. You played a good game, boy. And, you know, he's trying. Maybe the tall man wants to keep the game interesting. It's too easy. If he can win really easily, you know what I mean? Like if he can just, it's a more interesting game this way.
Yeah. That actually makes, I mean, I do, because I was so confused at the scene where somehow Jody can continually take their consciousness into other realities and then have a fit, like somehow in that he goes through a consciousness portal. He pulls Reggie out of a dream, yet is in the mausoleum where Mike is captured. Can bust Mike out with his laser to then pull him through the portal and still have the wherewithal to have Reggie close the portal and chop it. So Reggie's in the dream, but is affecting the real. Mike is real, but Reggie's consciousness was there running. You know, it's just like this weird, like Inception kind of math.
Yeah, sci-fi shit.
But why would the orb have the power to do that? Like, what is the benefit of having these little orb killing machines?
Yeah.
Have these transitory time and space powers if it's not a plant? If it's not specifically for a purpose that the tall man deems to be the reason?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
You're on to
Doesn't
something.
make a lot of sense. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, that happens sometimes in the Phantasm franchise.
And we don't care. Not really.
We don't care.
It's fun to like talk through it, but at the end of the day, I don't give a shit.
No, this is always the Phantasm math is the cool stuff achieving so much more than the bad stuff is pulling down. And honestly, there's not even anything in this movie that I don't like except for the fucking Reggie sexual assault stuff.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie works awesome for me. I like the addition of these Pet Cemetery 2 zombies, right? The zombie bad guys in the pink hearse.
Yeah.
I fucking love that bit. When that lady jumps into the back of the car and Mike shoots her and her body falls and the other car runs over it, that fucking shot is money. I love that scene. I love them having to battle them in the
whole car
mausoleum.
chase. Again, a Phantasm car chase.
Phantasm car chase that ends in an exploding car. Because
Yeah.
none of the cars in Phantasm can make a quasi-abrupt turn. They always hit something and explode.
They always flip and explode.
That's the other bit of universe building, is that no car can turn kind of rapidly.
No. They can't do that.
It's true.
It's fun.
What did you
It's
make
fun.
of these because this is the thing. We had these kind of grave diggers in the last movie, but they were completely bland and devoid of personality or character. They were just two kind of other tall white guys. One gets thrown in an oven, one gets fucking blender mouthed. Did you think that having the grave diggers have some of their personality intact made that more interesting for you?
It does. And if I think about, it's like, it made sense in the first film where this is very contained to this one town.
Mm-hmm.
If the tall man is going to expand his reach and take over more towns,
right?
Those little mindless drones, not going to cut it.
Yeah.
Those little worker bees, not going to cut it. So I like that as we're expanding the tall man's mission, we're expanding his resources to accomplish that mission.
I'm sorry to laugh in the middle of your point, which I absolutely agree. I was reading through my notes and I forgot two lines, which is One, when Reggie tries to bang Rocky, she says, "You know, dairy gives me gas."
Yes.
Just like
when
an
he
incredible.
asked her if she'd ever gone vanilla.
Yes, just an incredible fucking line in the movie. And then later, when she says, "Some people don't know when to give it up," about the people who cryogenically freeze themselves.
Right.
And Reggie goes, "You would know." Or "Look who's talking." And I just went, get the fuck at it. Sorry, I read those two lines. I wrote a note about, like, how is this a thing? And I fucking died laughing.
One of the best lines from Reggie in this fucking movie is he's talking about the sphere.
No.
And he says, "I hope that ball has a better sense of direction than mine do."
Yes, I had that too. But we were talking about zombies with personality.
It's good. It's good.
I actually think it's, to your point, not only does he need the help and muscle, right? Before he squashes them into the next thing, why not use them up a little more?
Right.
Also, I think the Phantasm franchise is making a gamble. The Tall Man is his kind of like esoteric, stoic self, right?
Yes.
We don't know enough about him. We know he's calm and composed. We can see hints of this emotional yearning that never quite is given to fruition. I think they made a gamble that having some quirkier external villains would illustrate exactly why the Tall Man is so cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, this is a
by
great
showing
point.
them doing their like, man, hey, I'm myself but a zombie. It kind of reinforces the kind of cool stoicness of the Tall Man.
Yeah, he's that much more imposing in that quiet menace.
Right. Because we see ourselves turn into the bad guys and it's cartoonish. And then you see him again and you're like, oh, fuck. Right? Like, so I think it's actually pretty good math. Right?
I think so too.
I thought it was a cool addition, right? And it gives them a chance. This is the thing. If you do a group D&D like adventure movie, which this kind of is, right? They do this in animes, a lot of this. You have to have someone for the sidekicks to fight. We know Rocky and Tim cannot beat the Tall Man, right?
No.
They are ancillary to the 3-movie journey we're on. But they can beat the shit out of some of those zombies.
Yeah. And it's fun to watch him do it.
And it's fucking fun to watch him do it, right? Because we love, honestly, Rocky and Tim to me were like A+ additions to the movie. So you gotta let them have things to do. So I think the zombies did a couple effects, and I thought, because at first I was like, oh God, I forgot about this. I don't know if I'm digging it. Then I really started to like it. I was really into it by the end.
Yeah. No, same. I had the same reaction at first. I was like, what is this?
Yes. All right, we got to walk through the end.
And then they sold me.
They sold it. That's the thing. I feel like Phantasm always sells it.
It does.
When they add a new weird thing, they almost always sell it, right? Whether it's his hands turning into little creatures that she stabs near Reggie's dick.
It's good.
Talking zombies, whatever. They sell it. Razor frisbees, they sell the shit out of it. What does this is kind of a point we were hitting on earlier, right? I love in this movie that Angus Scrimm, this is the most he's gotten to do in the franchise yet.
Yeah.
Right? Because we see him kind of at this fulcrum, right? There's something about Mike that he really wants. He says, "Welcome home, boy. Your journey is now complete." What does that mean, right? Here we go. You have lived in this flesh construct long enough. It's time to come back to me. There is something that I don't know. The movie never puts a fine enough point on it.
Right.
And again, blocking the sequels so that as people are watching with us, right? Hopefully a lot of people are listening to this with us the first time. So we try not to talk way too far in the future. What does that mean to you in this moment?
This is so juicy, right? Because it's like,
so juicy.
Okay, the Tall Man has his own agenda.
Right.
Is he reliable? No. Can I take what he's saying? He could be just lying. He could be just saying that shit to get Mike on board. And another character tells him, I don't remember if it's Jody or Reggie, but someone tells Mike, he's a liar. Don't listen to him.
Right.
But they don't know either. So we're kind of all in this not knowing. Is the Tall Man some kind of god? is
this an
he
ancient alien
implying,
scenario? Yeah, who knows?
right? Is he implying that he is that he is connected to some kind of origin that Mike actually does come from? Like, I don't know.
Okay, so my
it's
best,
fucking cool to think about it.
My best swing at a theory here.
Please.
The first
I love your
movie
theories.
is this weird masturbatory fantasy. Right? It's this young boy whose brother died, so he invents a world where he watches his brother eating a lady out who turns out to be a tall man who's collecting these slaves and shrinking people. Whatever. It's impossible in that movie to believe that Mike has authorship of that dream solo.
Sure.
Because why would he show us all those things? What about the scenes he's not there for, right?
Right.
It makes sense that someone else is co-authoring this. I think if you look at the first movie as the tall man is helping write this fantasy for this boy that then manifests in the real world when he grabs him at the end of part 1. We start part 2 seeing him dragged across glass.
Yes.
Reggie blows up the house, whatever. In doing this, he interrupts the cycle of whatever, because the creature pulls him into the closet, right?
Mm-hmm.
The very next thing is him dragging him back to the feet of the tall man. For what we don't know. He's been co-authoring a dream with this person. Maybe, just maybe, as he's co-authoring these dreams with people, he's preparing his lieutenants, right? These people that will become creatures with him that can help him stop taking over small Oregon towns and be the emissary to the rest of the world that has to also be conquered, right? That maybe Mike is to be a general because he has written part of himself into Mike. I don't know if that would hold up under strict scrutiny. But that's the closest I can come, is that between the first one being a dream that's not a dream, and then dragging Mike back to him and not wanting to hurt him, right? Him not hurting him at the start of the Tree sequel, whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Or part 3. It's this movie. It's this fucking movie. It makes sense to me, right? He's happy when Mike wakes up in that hospital bed.
Yeah.
The thing he has to do is shear away Reggie and the rest of the human wreckage, the human baggage of what he is.
His connection to this world.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that. No, I think this is good. And if we're talking about the tall man expanding his mission for global domination, one little town at a time, and that needing to expand his resources, like, yeah, you got to delegate, right?
You got to delegate. He wants to be in some sanctuary testing out all of our sexual wares.
Yeah.
He needs someone out there. In that
great room he has with all the candles.
Great room.
And the gothic-looking furniture.
That's the vibe I want to live in.
Mm-hmm. Same.
That was a real going around, right? They're like, I don't want my house to be clean or whatever. I want to look like a wizard who's surrounded by all the trinkets and evidence of his many adventures. Yeah. That's how I want to live.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I do, because it's so funny. I think it's the tainting of the first movie makes it seem like there is this cold physical yearning he needs. Because all he ever deals with is dead bodies. So there's a warmth or something. So it reads very sexual in nature. I think by this one, I wonder if it's the same. He's imprinted some of himself on Mike, and through that he can further... Because that's the thing. The tall man is not him. That's the other addition of this movie, is that when they freeze him, right? They hit him with the cryosphere. They drop him in this thing. Another cool thing I saw, though, is when the orb stabs the guy's head and spins and fucking pops his head off.
Yeah.
When the fucking golden orb punches through that blonde zombie lady's head.
It's cool.
Fucking righteous.
Yeah.
But the tall man is freezing, right? For some reason in this one, they just start, he doesn't like cold because he was in the midst of Reggie's truck in part one.
He remembers, Mike remembers back to that cool scene in the first one where the tall man's walking through the town and then you see the ice cream truck like vapor or whatever.
And somehow he put in, because he stands there and doesn't move, that he's afraid of cold. Fair enough.
Sure.
His face peels back to show a giant empty metallic cavern, right? This is a created facade. So even though we know in part 1 he can switch between his physicality rapidly, from very tall old man to young, hot,
buxom
wearing
blonde.
makeup, wearing a dress, blonde.
Yeah.
So somehow this mechanical apparatus with which the orb, this giant golden orb, is driving, he can still do that. So this is where it gets a little confusing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
His golden orb comes out. They put it in the cryo tank. They're fighting. What have you? Walk me through what is happening here at the end. It's tough. It is. It's amorphous. It seems esoteric in a way that we should understand after 3 movies.
Right.
But we don't.
Well, and I love how Coscarelli really paints himself like the perfect out. Jodie says...
I love this part. I'm glad you bring it up. Yes.
Jodie says... So, okay, wait. Back up.
Mike pulls his wig.
Mike pulls his wig.
Yeah,
he has got
an orb.
the yellow blood. And then he comes out and Reggie sees him and he's got spheres for eyes.
And he has one in his head. He has spheres for eyes. So he's not a normal zombie. He's something new we have never seen.
He's something else.
Yes.
And how long, like, at what point did that metamorphosis happen?
I'm guessing from when he first found him in that room. Right?
Could
Remember,
be.
he has the little Tim on the bed and he like rolls him out. I'm guessing it was just in the time span of that fight.
I mean, it's got to be.
Unless he already had imprinted some of this before.
Maybe.
He had him in the hospital room, the asylum, or when he was a kid and in his dreams.
Yeah. I mean,
this could be a multi-step process to create whatever Mike is.
Because it's new. We don't know what he is.
He's something completely different.
And he's telling Reggie to leave him alone, and he kind of goes off by himself. And as Reggie talks to Jodie, it's the fucking coolest line in the whole movie. And again, genius to put this in there for anyone who's watching this play out and going, what the hell is this? Where did this come from? What does any of this mean?
We still have the everyman. Reggie beats it with a plunger.
Right.
But it's so heady at this point.
It is. And Jodie says, seeing is easy. Understanding, well, that takes a little more time.
What a fucking masterstroke to write in there.
It's genius.
It's kind of the most phantasm thing to say.
It is.
Right? Is maybe you'll learn in the next one. Who knows?
Right. And even if you don't, it's like if we can go back to the first film, the second film, and everything we've seen in this third film. And it's like we've seen a lot of things.
A lot of things
have happened. Things that we don't understand at first and then later are recontextualized. New questions emerge. More is revealed. More questions on top of that. And I just love it. It's genius. Seeing is easy. It's the understanding that takes a little more time.
Yes, because now
that's phantasm.
Orb Mike leaves with Orb Jodie. They're off to do God knows what.
I don't know.
Right? We walk back in. The cryo tank is open. Right? We see Reggie's head through the door. He's surrounded by this fleet of orbs. Right? As they said, there's thousands of them. That's what Mike's last words were to Tim. And the tall man just comes out. It's never over. And then Tim gets grabbed.
Right.
And I was like, it's kind of the perfect, even though I don't know that a lick of it makes sense or pays off the journey we're on now. This, by the time you're in a part 3 of the franchise, you're not paying off the journey of this movie. Right?
Sure.
Especially this one that always picks up immediately where the last one left off.
Mm-hmm.
They get the benefit of just adding a huge question mark at the end and then leaving.
Yeah.
They are allowed to do that because this is a long journey that we have to take.
And this is what they do.
This
has been established.
This is the best ending. This is the best ending of the 3. I think by a lot.
I think you're right.
Because part 2 is just it's not a dream. And part 1 was the boy. You're like, pretty forgettable. This one really pops some big ass questions on us.
Yeah.
Is Tim okay? Is Reggie
tall
okay?
Man in that moment.
Yeah. Rocky got the fuck out. Like, is she just on a side quest? And then the tall man is still fucking back. We open the movie by seeing him throw his melted corpse in the portal. Now how many tall men are there? We're left with a lot of questions to be excited about, but what the movie tells us is understanding takes more time, and then the tall man says it's never over. Which that's just a great way to fucking launch us into another movie.
It is.
Because part 4, I believe, is called Oblivion. Phantasm 4 Oblivion.
And at the time of you and I recording, I have not watched Beyond 3.
So you're on an all-new journey here.
I'm on an all-new journey from here on out. I have no idea what to expect.
I think these pods work a lot. If you're on that journey of discovery with everyone, and then on the last movie, you can go back and try to tie all your threads together.
Yeah.
But I don't think you want to put too much shit from the next movies into this movie.
Right.
Right? Take it as it is. So yeah, I think this is a cool way to do this journey. That's it for Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead. Thank you so much for doing this with us, Carmelita. I've been having a great time doing these.
As have I. It is always a pleasure and an honor to talk movies with you. Always a pleasure and an honor to be involved in the mega October horror marathon that Film Alchemist puts out.
That's right.
One of my favorite things. And this franchise in particular has turned out to be such a good time. I'm having so much fun.
I agree.
Getting into these films and digging into them with you.
I couldn't imagine a better guest for this journey. So thank you again. At Carmelita Says on socials, Twitter, Letterboxd, all that stuff. Find her there. Make sure you go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod to find the extra episodes you need to get all 31 this month. We have a ton of episodes over there, commentaries, miniseries, all kinds of cool stuff to try to make that worth your while. So if you're able and you can.
It's worth your while.
Thank you. And if you're generous, for all this work we do, Film Alchemist Pod or patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. That's where it is. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Carmelita's joining again for Phantasm 4 Oblivion.